Hello guys, today I'm going to talk to you about adding decimals. Now, as a reminder to what a decimal is, it's basically a fraction in numeral form. So what I mean by this is, an example of decimal would be, 3.45. This right here is a decimal. Now that we know what a decimal is, we can start adding decimals together. Decimals will always have decimal point and numbers on both sides of the decimal point, even if it's a zero on one side or the other. Okay, so when adding a decimal, it should always look something like this. So you have your addition symbol right here, and then you have decimal points stacked right on top of each other, and you'll have numbers on both sides of the decimal points. So this right here just stands for number. And so the numbers will be lined up, and you'll add them in their places. And so what I mean by this is that when you have decimals, you have the decimal point, and you have the tenths, hundredths, and so on. But anyway, the numbers will be lined up, and you'll have decimal points stacked right on top of each other with numbers on both sides. Okay, now that you know the format when adding decimals, you can get two numbers and add them together. But remember, you can add more than two numbers if you'd like, but for now we'll stick to two numbers. Okay, so in addition to the number 3.45, let's say that we also have the number 2.53, and we want to add them together. Well, first, as I said, we'll have to line these numbers up with the decimal points stacked right on top of each other. So what I mean is that it should look like this. 3.45, let me space it out a little. 3.45 and 2.53. I want to space it out because I want you guys to see like the separate places for each pair of numbers. So this right here is the hundredths, and here is the tenths. And so, as I said before, we have these decimal points stacked on top of each other, and then we have numbers on both sides. And there can be a zero on both one side or the other of the decimal. But anyway, in our case, we have numbers on both sides. So you would add decimals like you would add whole numbers. And what I mean by that is, so for example, 5 plus 3 is 8 when you're adding whole numbers. So in our case, it would also be 8 when you're adding decimals. So we have an 8 in the hundredths place, and 4 plus 5 right here, that equals 9, just like adding whole numbers in the tenths place. And then we put the decimal point down. And now that I've done all the numbers to the right of the decimal, which is this side, now I have to do the numbers to the left of the decimal. And the only numbers to the left of the decimal are 3 and 2. And 3 plus 2 is just 5. So as a result, we get the number 5.98, or 5 and 98 hundredths. Okay, Now let's do a real life word problem. Okay, let's say that there's one guy named Bob. And Bob mows lawns as a job. And he gets $20.25 for each lawn that he mows. And let's say that he already has $100.23 in his bank account. Now my question is, how much money would he have in his bank account if he mowed one lawn that day? Well, you would have to add these two numbers right here. 20.25 and 100.23. Just add them together. And we'll do it like any other decimal. Okay? So, when adding decimals, it doesn't matter which number goes on the top or bottom. But it does matter in subtraction, which we'll talk about later. But anyway, for now, let's just put 100.23 on top. And remember, this is in dollars. And then on the bottom, we have 20.25. Remember, make sure that these decimal points are lined up. You can't shift the 20 that way. Okay, so we add them. And in the hundredths place, you have 3 plus 5, which is just 8. Then you have 2 plus 2, which we know is 4. Then you put down the decimal point. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 2, that's 2. And 1 is by itself, so you just drop down the 1. And so we know that Bob now has $120.48 in his bank account. Thank you.